Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing a review of Trading Secrets by Rachel Eccles. If you saw my December TBR, then you know that this was one of my most anticipated reads for the month, and I have to say that it did not disappoint. In this, we follow Celeste Donovan, who is badass boss bitch of Wall Street, living her best life, and then she receives the news that her boyfriend has been killed in a plane crash. And if that wasn't bad enough, it turns out that her psychotic ex, who she hasn't seen in over a decade, is responsible. I previously described this as a Lifetime movie, and while I definitely think this would be a great movie adaptation, it was so much better than I anticipated. On one hand, there's sex, drama, and scandal, but on the other hand, there's also romance and found family. I do want to say though that this book does include drug use, domestic violence, sexual assault, and rape, so if any of those are things that would deter you from reading a book, I do advise that you proceed with caution. What I like about this book is that there was never a dull moment. Even during some of the down times, it was always exciting and intriguing, and never once while I was reading was I ever bored. On the other hand, something that I struggled with was that in the very first chapter, I immediately disliked the main character. A lot of her inner monologue, or things that she would say to or about people, made her seem very vain, judgmental, and shallow. And even though I disliked some of the things that she would say, I reached a point where I was still rooting for her no matter what. And that's odd for me because typically if I dislike the main character, it's hard for me to rate a book highly. But with this one, it made me feel so many different emotions, and I haven't really read any books lately that have done that, where at one point I'm feeling an immense amount of sadness, or I'm feeling so much anger on behalf of the main character, or while I'm reading I gasp, or I say oh my god out loud, or I'm just sitting there with my mouth hanging open because I'm shocked at everything that's happening. So for all of that, I am rating this 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I'm definitely going to continue with the series. This is meant to be a trilogy, and I know the author is currently working on book 2, so whenever that comes out, I will definitely be looking for it. If you have not yet read Trading Secrets but would like to, this is your official spoiler warning. So as always, I will start off with the characters, starting with our main character, Celeste. As I said, there were some things about Celeste that I didn't like, or sometimes she would say things that were really rude and I felt like they were unnecessary. But also, I really want the best for her. I really do want her to be happy, which is so weird. It's so weird for me to say. She is basically on the run at some point. She hasn't really filled her friends in on what's going on, and she does something to frame her ex-boyfriend to a life in prison, but she's in Saudi Arabia at that time. So she does something that is against the law, and then after that, she was kind of just gonna wing it. So this person saves her. We later find out this person's name is Alexander. And even though she was skeptical, and I understand why, she's in a new country, she doesn't know this person, and he's very reluctant to give her any information about him because those are the orders that he was given. So I understand her skepticism, but at the same time, he just saved your life. Why are you being so difficult? Why are you being such an asshole? I know you're confused and you're scared, but like, I need you to take a second, okay? Like, I need you to think about this. You're smart as fuck. Use that brain, okay? She was just so annoying during some of those scenes, and then she ends up sleeping with him, and I was just like, okay, fine. On the other hand, as far as this book making me feel a lot of things, while she was with Omar, who is her abusive ex, I was like, you're too good for him. Like, why are you even here? And then when she's with Theo, I'm like, can you just, I understand why you're guarded, but like, let your guard down, feel your feelings, just let it happen. So I'm excited to see how that progresses in the next book. The next character that I want to talk about is Theo. He's not dead. What the fuck? So there was a point where his mother says that she never identified a body. And so in the back of my mind, because like I said, I live for Lifetime movies, I was like, oh, well, maybe it's not him. Had that thought, and then it just disappeared. I got wrapped up in whatever was happening, and I completely forgot about that. So the fact that he shows up in what, like the last 5 fucking pages, I was like, ooh, okay. So now I'm hoping that in the second book we get a little bit more information about where Theo was during that time period where we thought he was dead. I'm also interested to see if he knows that Alex and Celeste slept together, since Alex works for him, and that whole thing is a little weird. But I'm definitely curious as to where exactly he was and how he ended up finding her. As far as Celeste's friends go, I believe it's Jack, Mark, and Savin. Savin is her best friend, they run a business together, and I don't necessarily dislike him, but I feel like it was stupid for him to let her leave alone in Paris. Like, I understand that you want to have a good time, you want to have a night out, but literally she ends up getting kidnapped in the next scene. Come on now. I definitely think that I like Jack the best because after she is abused, he notices a bruise on her wrist and immediately jumps into action, and he has her move out of her apartment, make sure she's in a hotel, gives up his own security detail, arranges a doctor's appointment, and he was just so supportive during that time, and that was exactly what she needed, and I adore him for that. I feel like we didn't get too much of Mark because he's having a baby and all of that, so I'm hoping maybe we see him and Jen a little bit more, so that will be interesting. And then Omar. He is exactly what you would expect from a man who is absorbed in toxic masculinity, has a fragile ass ego, and is basically just a bitch. The part where I really started to like understand how shitty Omar was when he tanked, what was it, a $50 million deal? 50 fucking million. She and Savin did this pitch to this high roller. He was ready to invest and fund it completely. And because Omar is friends with this person, he then says, oh yeah, I told him not to invest because you going into business is ridiculous. You're too pretty to work. It would take away time from our relationship. And he literally calls her a hot piece of ass to her face. Obviously, she's pissed at this point. However, like, we would have had to fight. I can't even explain how enraged I was during that scene. Even though my wish was that Omar ended up dead by the end of the book, unfortunately, it is stated that he did survive his gun wounds and is alive. So of course he's gonna have to pop back up in the next one, but I need him to die. I need him to die. At this point, I feel like he wouldn't even try to get Celeste back. I think at this point he would probably just try to kill her. So I'm interested to see what steps Theodora is going to take. I hope that we see a little bit more of them rebuilding the relationship after that too, because rightfully so, Celeste is pissed because he faked his death and had her thinking that he was dead. With this being a trilogy, the first book does end on a cliffhanger where Celeste gets a mysterious text from someone saying, we need to talk, I'll be in touch. I don't know if this is a new character that's being introduced or what's happening, but I'm so excited for the second book, and I will be keeping my eye out to see when that is planned to be released, and I will definitely be doing further reviews for the rest of this series. So that is it for today. Let me know if you are interested in this book, if you have read it and you want to share your thoughts, if you have any questions about it, let me know. Otherwise, that's all I have for you, and I'll see you in the next video.